September 9th, 2017. Just want to do some quick update stuff here. Been a while since I made a video. Don't want to leave you hanging on the edge of your seat. You're probably not. But anyway, I wanted to show these indigo cherry tomatoes. I thought they were ripe when they were purple when I first grew these, but they're not. The purple is they go from green to purple, and then they turn this orange. And of course, the nutrition program I've got these in this year makes these really not cherry tomato size. They're almost a slicer size, like a small slicer. But they are delicious. They have an awesome flavor profile. Downside of these is they take a very long time to mature, even in a very high fertility program. I might be able to change that a little bit with a little addition of potassium nutrition to help accelerate that process, but I don't know that I can. I probably will grow them again just because I love the color of them, but probably not in mass quantity. I certainly will carry seed forward from these from this year. They've done really well. Anyway, I wanted to share these with you a little bit, and yeah, they're good. So they are ripening. Try and zoom in. Yeah, you can see them oranging up. Anyway, I wish they were that purple color when they're ripe, because wow, bang, bang on presentation, you know. I may cross these with like a Cherokee purple and see if I can't cross and back cross and get one that comes out purple through and through and is purple when it's ripe. But that'll be a long-term project. Real briefly, I just want to show the kimchi pepper plants. They are doing really well. This one plant here, I'm pretty sure this is just one plant. This thing just has sprawled out. It's probably 4.5 or 5 foot across. And then there's these two separate plants that are a little smaller. These had a little bit of a rough time getting going. But they've come back really well. And I attribute that to complete trace mineral and hormonal nutrition, as well as biology present, good mulch, good worm activity, and relatively fertile soil from when chicken tractor was run through here last year or the year before. Rhubarb, not all of them took. We had a dry spell. I didn't keep up on watering them because I was busy planting other crops. But the ones that did come through are doing really well. You can see that leaf dwarfs my hand. I have a size 10 foot, and it even dwarfs that. So these are monsters, and they got nice big fresh rhubarb stalks on them. So I'm going to continue to propagate those. That'll be a nice early season spring crop to be able to go to market off early with, because early season is really tough to stay on top of as far as like having productivity, unless you're doing like greens and a bunch of short crops like that. And those are great crops and very profitable, but they require a lot of labor. And since I'm only one person and also growing many other crops, it's very hard for me to do that and keep up with the labor intensive harvest part of them. And most places want them washed as well, and I don't really have a good lettuce washing station set up. So in the future I probably will be adding that stuff, but when I have a little more help and a little better setup for it infrastructure wise. I wanted to show you the fourth planting of sweet corn here. Oh wow, it smells wonderful. It is in flower now, and starting to drop pollen, and we're throwing some silks on the ears. I actually have not foliar feeded this since the last video I did, where I foliar fed it on day 39, right after that windstorm that knocked it flat. I really actually kind of wanted to slow it down a bit because of the popcorn, which is in flower also, and I don't want these crossing with each other. So I gave the popcorn a couple more feeds, and I let up on the sweet corn to give the popcorn just a little bit of an edge time-wise. And so far that's working, and also winds have been favorable for not crossing these two, so that's good. Let's see, I wanted to come back to these sunflowers. This one, I don't know how well you'll be able to see the color, but these actually look purple in good lighting. I imagine they'll darken out to black, but I thought the purple color was pretty cool. If you can't tell by a lot of the crops I grow, purple is one of my favorite colors. The all blue potatoes, the indigo tomatoes, purple everything. I love purple. I used to have a nice purple pepper strain. I unfortunately lost that strain in the last farm move, but I will be getting some more of those and starting those up too. I don't know, just a cool color to see on a plant. You don't often see that. This sunflower is still a monster, and I just want to point out that even after it snapped over, I showed this in one of the previous videos, and again I'll show how big the stem is. It's a monster. This thing seriously would make a half-decent pry bar, actually. Anyway, even after it dumped over, this thing has had such good fertility. I've gassed off some of the, like when I had a little bit of excess foliar feed or accelerate or any of that kind of stuff, I've gassed it off on these sunflowers specifically. I really wanted to jack these up this year, and man did it work, because even though it got whacked hard in that wind, it didn't kill it, and even though it's laying down, it's filling all these flowers up, and we're going to have lots of beautiful sunflower seeds. And on top of that, you'll see there's, even just on this branch, there's 3 more flower heads. But if I come back out, you can see that, where there's a flower head on each branch, there's 3 or 4 more popping behind it. So, very high productivity. Again, complete spectrum of trace mineral and hormonal nutrition in combination with good biology. It does amazing things. Alright, I think I'll take you down. I wanted to show you something on potatoes. Hang on a sec. Okay, we're not quite going to get to potatoes just yet. I just want to point out that these are chives here. I planted these last fall, kind of cared for them. Weeded around them this spring. I didn't mulch all that heavy around them, and so the weeds took off in here, and I just kind of let them ride. But finally I just got fed up with the weeds getting out of hand, and I came in here with a mower and just mowed everything under, so I knew they would come back. And sure enough, here they are in time to have chives and chives on top of sour cream on top of baked potato, and all from the farm here, with the exception of the sour cream. I have to see if the local farm that carries raw milk is thinking about or makes sour cream, because that would be really nice. While we're here, quick, I'll just show you the buckwheat. These are in full bore flower, no doubt. They're cranking, and you'll notice the flower is very uniform. Not a lot of difference between the little bit, the flowers on the bottom and the flowers on the top. These are a little bit more mature, but it's a fairly uniform flowering. And buckwheat is actually like continues to flower and produce seed over the season. But really interesting to see how quickly they burst out into flower and how uniformly they did so. And Rooster wanted to get his 2 cents in, so I'll let Rooster say hi. Tell him, Rooster. Come on, tough guy. Tell him. There you go. I call him Foghorn. And the other rooster I call Leghorn, because this guy's always crowing, and Leghorn's got 4-inch spurs on him. So together they're Foghorn, Leghorn. Well, I say, well, that boy reminds me a little bit of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. A little light in the belfry. Okay, so I harvested out about 50 pounds of Kennebec potatoes out of this row here, and part of this row over here on the left. The other day, those went to the corner restaurant down in Tivoli, and They were very happy to have him. I got to meet the chef there, Devin. He's a really nice guy, and I hadn't been in that restaurant since way back when it used to be kind of a, well, I'll just say it, a dive bar. And I'd only been in there once or twice when it was like that. But those guys have fixed that place up, and it is classy and beautiful. And I can tell from talking to Devin that he really cares about food, and especially local food. And he was very excited to find another local farmer who can provide more produce for the local restaurant. So great establishing a relationship with them. They took some potatoes, Kennebec potatoes, and sweet corn, and some of the cherry tomatoes. And I'm sure I'll be working with them again in the future. So if you've never been to the Corner Restaurant in Tivoli, I highly recommend you go check it out. Alright, that said, the thing that really excited me as I was finishing up checking these potato rows as to what was what and just kind of getting an idea was this mushroom that I found in the weeds here. This thing is huge, and I want to point out that this area, this whole area of potatoes that was planted this year was tilled, and in combination with the mulch and inoculants and leaf matter and everything I brought in, I've seen all kinds of mushrooms popping up out of this. I mean, all kinds of mushrooms. And I'm trying to learn more about mushrooms, but I'm not real familiar with them, so I don't pick them or eat them, just to be cautious. I don't want to poison myself. But you know, as I learn more, I will be looking for edible mushrooms out of it, and certainly will be eating them or sharing them with someone who likes them when they do. But basically, as a farmer, when you see mushrooms growing in your productive plots, that's a badge of accomplishment. You see mushrooms coming out the top, that's the flowering, fruiting body of a mycelial network. And you should really check out a video from a guy named Paul Stamets. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the world's leading scientists on fungi and mushrooms, and man, he's an amazing talk. If you check out his video, The Future is Fungi, he's incredible. Anyway, so this is just the fruiting body. In order for a mushroom of this size to grow, there has to be a pretty good fungal network in here. And fungal networks, the mycelial webs, are actually capable of exchanging nutrients across that web. They are effectively the soil's internet system, and they've been around for millennia. And in fact, most of the species that have survived this planet for very, very long-term periods of time have in some way paired with fungi, and the fungi help protect them, because fungi are capable of surviving all sorts of environmental changes and morphing and adapting. And so they're a very interesting thing to study, very complex thing to study, but very intriguing. And anyway, so I see this mushroom in my potato patch, this monstrous thing, and that is probably not an edible mushroom, but I see this as a badge of accomplishment as far as getting my biology straight and not tilling too deeply, and you know, that's a good thing to see. And they're all over the place in here, and there's actually, I just gave someone a tour today, and we noticed a couple others that came up where I've been mowing and harvesting mulch from. And she at first asked me what the little plastic balls were for, but they're not plastic balls. They're mushrooms. They're interesting mushrooms for sure. Again, I don't know if that's edible, but that one feels a lot like edible mushrooms I've seen in the store. Not that that means anything, but really cool to see that. There's two of them here. And of course, this area I have not tilled. Oh, there's 3, 4. They're all over in here. 5. Yeah. So I have not tilled down here. So you know, no badge for me on that. Those are natural. But to see mushrooms coming up in a patch that was tilled only 3 months ago is a good sign. That means that you've done everything you can to foster and protect biology and fungal networks, bacteria, and all the other soil microbes, nematodes, and all those little guys that help make things happen. I guess real quick I'll just take you up and show you the popcorn, because that's developing pretty quickly. Last week or so we've had a tremendous amount of rain, so it actually would have been even growing faster probably had we not had all that rain and we had a little more sun and heat. But despite that, it's doing really well, and we've got lots of ears coming on. Tassels are almost done flowering, which works out good as the sweet corn sets into flower. And it's going to be a stellar harvest of popcorn, barring any major weather events. So I'm excited about that. Got a few delicata squash plants that are coming along. I think we'll get some squash off of them before the season gets too cold, unless we get an early frost. Hoping not to have that. And yellow wax beans are cranking pretty good. Somebody keeps getting in here and munching them. I'm not sure if it's a woodchuck or a deer, but I think it's a woodchuck. So I'm going to have to take care of him. These had one shot of accelerate. One shot when they were planted. Light one with an inoculant. BioCoat Gold. And then I didn't put anything else on them. They have had the overspray of foliar feeds, the forage foliar feeds on the popcorn. But other than that, they haven't really been fed at all for the season since they were planted. And but last night I went through and I gave them a shot of accelerate again, just to give them like a real power boost to finish the season out. So we should have a nice yield of yellow wax beans out of there, and that'll be my second generation of yellow wax beans in a Hybrix program. And I'm really excited because if you look at these are a bush bean, and you can see massive leaves, and not only massive leaves, but these vines are almost creeping off and growing off like a climbing vine. So these things are really aggressive, and they're much stronger and faster growing and much more impressive than the first generation that I grew of these. And I had gotten these from a breeder friend of mine who really pays attention to his soil and his trace minerals and all that kind of stuff. But the foliar feeds that I used really made a massive difference. He does not have the same foliar feed program that I do. And I find it really interesting that these blew up the way they did. And I can't wait to ship some of these back to him and share them with him, and let him try them over in Oklahoma. Yeah. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover. Sorry I'm a little scattered today. This week has been a very long and wild week as far as trying to keep up with all the things that are going on between here on the farm, foliar feeds, harvests, delivering to restaurants, and also squeezed off a batch of salsa in the process as well, which I will probably make available to an exclusive list of people for sale. So I think that covers it all. And I also just want to point out, like, this Black Dakota, one cool thing about this is all these purple, again with the purple and black hues that come through both on the ears and on the stalk. And that's just a function of this particular type of corn. The Black Dakota corn has a lot of color to it, and I know I've showed in other videos snapshots of what the corn looks like finished, and it's a dark black, like a piano, like a black piano, deep color, and awesome flavored corn. So anyway, thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network. I hope this has been informative for you, and hope you'll check back with us for our next video. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, whatever time of day it is for you when you're watching this.